In the last vlog, we built and set our 4x4 posts in place, squared them, and leveled the dirt inside the base. Now it's time for gravel. And the first thing I'm gonna do is wet your ass up, boy. I started by tamping the damp soil and covering it with cardboard. All these large pieces came from the various products and appliances we've been purchasing during our housewarming phase. I did this to suppress the weeds that may want to grow through the gravel. Janie, get off my foundation. All right, so y'all see what's going on. We got the weed barrier down, got a couple of rocks to hold it down, keep the wind from blowing. Leaves are being deposited on the work area, but I ain't even gonna worry about them. So now this area is pretty much ready to have some gravel dumped on it. What I'm gonna do now is cut these various stumps down so that I can gain access to this side of the property, like roll my truck and my trailer up to it, so that when I do dump the gravel, I'd rather start from a center point, not from one of the ends and then have to get gravel all the way to a far end. So if I use this as my access point, I'm relatively in the middle, and the gravel has a shorter distance to travel when it's time for me to spread it out. So, and what's blocking that access path is stumps like this, stumps like that, and then of course these big puppies right here. So, we got Nisi Trep out here helping out. She's helping me move all the bricks that I found while playing in this backyard. So we're just gonna relocate these to right off the property line. And at that point, I'll have clear access coming up my property all the way to over here. And I'll be able to back up and dump. So we out here, we working.
So I'm gonna let you cut one early in the situation while the chain is still tight, instead of waiting till the chain gets loose. Yeah. So what you do is, it's a two-handed thing. So usually when you cut, you're gonna hold it over here so it's sideways. This is the safety. You have to push it first. Then you can pull it out. You want this to be going fast before you ever touch the tree trunk. So you want to spin it hard. You want it to be doing that, right? When you touch the tree, just try to keep the blade level. Don't let it hit the dirt, okay? And just keep a firm grip. One hand here, one hand here, huh? If you get this spinning fast, just go slow and it won't dirt. Okay? I'm gonna cut this one and then I'll let you do that one. So watch what I do. I'm gonna get low, I'm gonna hold it horizontal, I'm gonna pull the trigger. Do the work. You just bring it slightly slower and closer to get it to pass straight through. All right, you can do this one. So, and just remember, if you get scared or whatever, this is the trigger. Let it go, and it's gonna stop. Squeeze it, get it fast, then go low, about right here, and take it slow. Ready? This is safety, and that's the trigger. Don't grab that till you're ready. Correct. You get nice and low. Yeah. Are you comfortable? Do you feel strong in this position? Alright. Pull the trigger, get it spinning fast.
Niecy Trep knocked down one more stump. Then I flush cut the rest while she continued clearing that large pile of bricks. I would say that this thing is looking really good. Nice and clear, ready for a truck to get access with the trailer on it. And I'm gonna see if I can figure out a way to dump my trailer as opposed to having to scrape all that heavy gravel off. But if all I have is myself, we just gonna deal with what we got. Look at that, no stumps, no nothing. It's time to go get some gravel, baby. I've passed the entrance to this gravel yard countless number of times, but I have never been in here. I didn't know what to expect or if my trailer would be able to handle transporting gravel. It's similar to a dump yard where they weigh you before and after your visit to gauge how much you've dumped, or in this case, purchased. I asked for 1 ton of gravel, which is the minimum, and the operator eyeballed it. He was pretty accurate. When I drove across the scale, they weighed it for accuracy, and I think my first load was 1.2 tons. You can't tell in this clip, but the suspension on my trailer compressed to the point where my tires were almost touching the fender. I remember driving back home anxious because I hadn't figured out a way to keep the gravel from falling on the street between the cracks in the back gate and the side. I could see rocks flying off in the rearview mirrors, cars traveling close behind, hoping the gravel did not damage anybody's car. I kept my speed low and my hazards on. Niecy Trep got her a little R&R after the first half of the day. When we got back, she told me something. I wasn't asleep. Okay. So what do we call this? If this ain't sleep, what is this? All right, so as planned, it's here. It's relatively in the middle, not really, but this was a kind of tough maneuver to hit. I started spinning out in the dirt. We got the gravel on the trailer. I found this in the pit, in the gravel pit, just to help hold the gravel from spilling out the back. I got a little gap in the back. So we're about to try to fill this in and hopefully get back to the gravel pit one more time before they close. So we got to be quick about it. You ready? In short, we did not make it back to the gravel yard that day. Turns out shoveling 1.2 tons of gravel takes a lot of time. Who would have thought? But after the first trip and dump, I made a few upgrades to the trailer, scavenging materials to enclose all 4 sides. If you all watched season 1, you might remember this wheelbarrow bucket. This is its 3rd reincarnation. You'll find out very soon how I intend to use this to speed up the process of dumping the gravel. You may already be able to tell. Leave a comment whether your prediction was correct. I went ahead and backed the trailer totally into the carport. Generally speaking, this is the grand scheme. I ran it around a cutoff tree first, just to keep the pressure from cutting into this living tree. And I tried to keep the pressure off of the main joints. All of this is designed to withstand some force, some pull. So I figured that should be fine. And then connected the chain and ran it to the bucket. Got Niecy Trep in the background. So essentially, all I'm gonna do is just drive off, and hopefully this scoops a substantial amount of the gravel onto the ground.
Keep going. And let's see what it does. I can tell already. If that flips completely over and it ain't doing nothing, then I'll stop. One of the two. But let's just see what it does.
It's not working.
It ain't gonna be that bad. Yes, it was. The only thing that made it more tolerable was the shade. It takes strength and stamina to shovel 1 ton of gravel continuously, and because I started earlier in the day, I was able to make a third trip to the gravel yard and unload it. I ended up doing 2.3 tons in one day. In total, it took 3.5 tons of gravel to fill this 12 by 20 bed, and I spent $150 total on the gravel. That's a pretty good deal. And with the foundation finally being done, it's time to move on to the frame of the carport. What you see here is 2 of 4 boxes. The other 2 boxes are just roof panels. So I'm going to start with the frame. I've got all 4 packages, and yes, this is how this arrived. I'll show you guys which one I ordered from the Home Depot website. I chose to do pickup, and this is what it looked like when it arrived. So I'm really hoping nothing small fell out. I don't know what's in either of these, but it's time to pop them open and get started framing up this carport. The instructions were clear and assembly is simple to comprehend, so I won't bore you with the details. I laid everything out similar to the instructions diagram as a way to comprehend the assembly process and take inventory to know if I am missing parts. Everything was there, along with the main framing members and couplers. In the boxes, there was self-tapping screws, ground anchors with the cables and securing collars, a type of gasket tape to prevent leaks and gaps between the roof panels, edge banding to cover the sharp edges of the panels, and a few rails that we'll talk more about later. Not shown in the footage were 2 boxes of roofing panels. I started the assembly with the 2 straight runs for the base. These pieces have a specific layout. The L-shaped portions are reserved for the ends, and the T-shapes are reserved for the mid-sections. The framing members and couplers have pre-drilled pilot holes, so I used those to line things up. I used a hammer and a tapping block to knock the couplers into the tubing. The parts fit very snug, and doing roof portions was a little difficult. It's definitely a 2-person job. Use 1 person to stand on or secure a portion of the frame while you slide the connecting portion together. What we're doing here is attaching purlins that go at the peak of the roof and near the bend where the sides begin. They ensure each roof rib is properly spaced apart, equal to the spacing of the legs with the base. So I'm on to the roof panels now. We have assembled the, I guess you would call it the top portion of the frame. We've got 2 boxes of roof panels. I thought that they would be different panels, like some for the ends and then some for the field, but it turns out that they're all the same. And they also have a little plastic wrap on them that I guess I'm gonna have to peel off of each one, which I'm fine with. I don't want any kind of issues with like discoloration or something in the future. You know, a lot of times people like to leave plastic on, black folk, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna go ahead and peel it off. I'm gonna start at the back as if I was doing shingles. So in the direction that I need it to be draining, I'm gonna start at the back and work my way to the front with the panels. And they have pre-drilled holes to help you see and know that you're hitting the studs. And the eave does have pre-drilled holes of their own. Let's see if I can. So as you see right here in the eave, there's pre-drilled holes that the center panel can basically like line up to. I don't know if you could tell, but that's like lined up. I'm gonna say that they also have this tape that you're supposed to use at the edges under the bottom to prevent any water from draining the opposite direction and penetrating the roof system. This is the part of the video where Big Trep goes off into a bunch of bad ideas and poor decision making. Just know that I installed the roof panels incorrectly and I had to disassemble it and start over. In short, when I first assembled it, every so often the panel would have a huge gap, or the overall alignment would get thrown off, causing the pre-drilled holes to not land in the center of the framing members, all of which are huge, obvious opportunities for leaks. I value your time too much to force you to watch it, but I learned a lot from these mistakes, and we're going to fast forward to where I started doing things the right way so you can avoid the mistakes I made. Let's start by correcting mistake number 1. Peel all the plastic off every roof panel before you start the install. I made the mistake of trying to get the thing built quick and get out of the sun, so when I realized how long it was going to take to peel a single roof panel, I tried to partially peel them just enough for assembly, then fully peel them later. Don't do that. And definitely don't leave the plastic on. Take your time and peel it off before you ever start assembling your roof.
Out here in the wilderness, what are you doing at this point?
Look at my face. I'm hot, frustrated, mad. I wasted hours yesterday putting this thing together, and here comes Sleepy Trep.
You taking the wrapping off of the Stump? It bent right there. You bent it taking the wrapper off?
I bent this one in frustration when I was trying to get it to fit.
Bruh, have y'all ever seen this man angry? This is the most representation I can get from him as being angry. So I can only...
Angry, that's frustrated.
Frustration?
Yes.
I ain't never seen... Man, this is a little banged up. I miss this frustration, bruh. You was off. Forget this.
I was like, I'm gonna make it.
Wow. Wow. If y'all even paid attention, this is OCD. So the fact that he was just trying to make it fit is crazy. He was frustrated, bruh.
That heat'll get the best of you. It'll make you rush. It'll make you get frustrated faster. For sure.
I started by unwrapping the 8 pieces that had not been installed. Then I pulled off the 12 incorrectly installed panels and unwrapped them. It's about 8:40 at night. Yes, it looks like this at 8:40 p.m. It's the summertime in Georgia. So I'm still at it. And I've got about 4 left. One, I just finished that one. I'm on this one now. So when I finish this one, which I'm a little more than 50% done, just barely more than 50% done, I probably have 4 left to go. This is taking forever. For the record, it takes about 15 minutes to peel one roof panel. So if you order one of these, just remember it is going to take about 5 hours to unpackage the materials. You can imagine why I tried to shortcut this process. Outside, in the heat, ready to have the main assembly complete, I was like, bump it. I'm gonna install and finish unwrapping later. Wrong again, Morosoka. I finished out the evening in the garage, and the next day I was ready to start fresh and do this thing correctly. After peeling every panel, there were 2 valuable changes I made to my installation process that made everything go smooth with a near perfect end result. The first thing I did was use my speed square to mark a line down the center of each framing member on the roof. This way I can see the line through the pre-drilled holes of the roof panels and know that my screws are hitting the center of the frame. The line was visible even when the panels had to overlap and I was looking through 2 layers of pre-drilled holes. I realized that the panels are not perfectly symmetrical. The left and right ridges have a slight difference that you need to take note of. This leads me to the second thing I did to improve the install. Pick an orientation for the roof panels and make sure you maintain it. In my case, when standing at the back, Looking to the front, I installed every panel's beveled side facing the right-hand side. This technique made all the difference and was not communicated in the instructions. As you all know, I had to redo this whole thing, so that means the weather stripping that I had and I was placing in between the panels is no longer usable because it was just destroyed in the process. So I had to purchase this stuff right here, and this is butyl tape. It's designed for roofing, glass, pipes, and repairs. It's kind of like a tape, but it's more so also like a putty, and it seems to be the same dimension as what I was using, and it's going to keep the water out. And it has a backing on it so that I could stick it to the surface and then peel the other side off when I was done. So that ended up working really well. I'm very pleased with what is the new result after taking my time and doing it right and being patient. Everything lined up. I did use some vice grips in certain areas with the frame loose. I would move the frame and clamp it in position and then start my screws so that everything would line up. And as I am completing this leg of the process, it's time for me to raise up one side at a time and sit the legs in, and right on time, as if she had telepathy, baby Trep is in the building, ready to help Big Broski out. Nelly, for whatever reason, doesn't know how to match her shoes today. And so she's partially headed to the beach, partially headed to the shopping malls. I don't know what she plans to do today, but
listen, guys. Sometimes life just comes at you fast, and you gotta do what you gotta do to get out the house. And this is the result of what happened. But
how do you? I mean, okay. We're not gonna get into that right now. What we about to do is try to lift up this carport on one side and brace the legs in and try to get this thing standing. So let's hope that this one sandal, one Sperry, or whatever this is. What are these called?
I don't know. It's some work shoes.
Okay, let's hope the one sandal, one Sperry work shoe proves to be the good luck charm that we need.
She reminded me of Jasmine because I was like, I came out here and y'all wasn't here. And she was like, it was probably the day Narelle had me going to get gravel with him. And I said, oh Lord, you was thinking you should have stayed home. She talked about, She said, I ain't for to do.
She should have told you the rest of the story. She was popping big shit like she was gonna come out here and just whoop-de-doo this thing. I was like, all right, come on, let's go. I ain't her ass out here, bro. She did good, but she felt it by the end. She was knocked out before we ever even got back home from getting the gravel. That's good, as long as it fits. And then we just gonna grab some more.
Look.
One sandal. One sandal. From back to front, there are 5 connections for the uprights. We decided to lift and connect one upright in from the back and one in from the front to evenly distribute the weight before connecting the remaining 3. We used the same technique on the other side as well. Then we finished connecting the bottom of the uprights to the base of the assembly. The instructions suggest you raise the roof first, then finish installing the side roof panels. I'm happy now.
My mismatched shoes and muscles came in handy. Look at my feet, they're dirty.
Was you expecting this today?
No, man, I just got off of work. And then look at me, sweating. But I do it, we treppers, we get it out the mud, in the day, in the weather, in the clothes, in the shoes.
Man, this makes me really happy. Like, you can see what's going on out here now. And it's sitting nice and comfortable on the foundation that we built. Gonna anchor it into the ground, put the sides up. I don't know why they didn't tell me to put the sides up before I did this part, but maybe it'll make sense soon. I'm gonna go ahead and run screws into the top and bottom of all of the legs that we just did. Ultimately, screwing these uprights together completes the assembly of the frame. Now, I'm completing the roof install with the sides, working my way from back to front and maintaining my predetermined orientation for the roof panels. So I'm on step 8. This is part number 9. This is part number 10. The way that it is shown here is you take part 9, another 9, then the 10, then a 9. And these are to be placed about 1 to 2 centimeters under the finished siding elevation. So just so y'all understand what that part looks like in real life, it's basically these kind of like small oval tubes, and this would be considered part 9 with these rivets in it and the little tongue on it. And then part 10 is very similar, except for it doesn't have any like rivets on it. And so that small tongue with the rivets, this slides over that. And you saw based on the diagram the way it is to be arranged. And then it's supposed to be 1 to 2. And then you would attach it with those same common self-tapping screws that we've been using. So I'm down here with part 9 and 10. It's just laying on the ground for the moment. I'm about to install it, but it does come with end caps, and that end cap does have a hole in it so that when you drive that screw through, it'll pass through the end cap and secure it and lock it in place. It comes with 4 of them. You can put 1 at each end. Okay, one of the final steps is putting on the eave drip. The eave strip, I should say. And I'm just pressing it in like so. When I get to these weird little areas right here, I take my pliers, I try to squeeze it and form fit these 2 pieces together, and I just muscle through it. Really, it's pretty simple, pretty easy to put on. This completes the construction of the kit that I ordered, minus the anchoring hardware. I will be using a different method to anchor the kit to the ground because, as you all know, we are not done yet. In the next vlog, we will enclose this carport and officially convert it to a shed. Thanks for tuning in. See you in the next one.